acknowledge that we were founded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Attawandaronk, the Mississauga and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and now live on land that is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We have many representatives working across this land now known as Ontario, and we acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory. We are grateful to be able to work and live on this land, and thankful to the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial, and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. To continue to center reconciliation, we encourage our team, partners, students, and teachers to take time to learn about the lands they are currently on. Visit native-land.ca for more information.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our Soil Superheroes virtual food and farm field trip. So I'm Madison, I'm from AgScape, and we are so excited that you're here with us today to celebrate Ontario Agriculture Week. So we've got something truly awesome lined up today because we're going to be learning all about the amazing world beneath our feet, the soil. So you might not think about soil that much, but it's really an important thing. Soil is alive, and without healthy soil, we wouldn't have a healthy food system. And who is a great soil superhero? Well, today we're going to be learning about the worm. Worms are great recyclers of nature. They eat dead leaves, our food scraps, and their work creates really nutrient-rich food for plants. So today we are going to meet Helen, who is an expert from Pure Life Soil, a company right in Toronto that creates rich soil using the help of our amazing worms. So before I introduce her, I asked you all a question. How many worms do you think are at Pure Life Soil? Well, the answer is 250 million worms. As always, drop any questions you have in the chat. Helen would love to hear what you're curious about and answer any questions. And without further ado, here is Helen. Go ahead, Helen, and take over, introduce yourself and Pure Life Soil, and start teaching us about these critters.
I would love to. Hello, everyone. I'm Helen. I'm an earthworm enthusiast, and I absolutely love soil. I've had my hands in the dirt since I was a little girl, and 40 years later, I've still got my hands in the dirt. So I'm a bit of a soil biology nerd, and for very good reasons. I have a really cool job as well. I work at a place called Pure Life Soil, and we have millions of earthworms, as you just heard from Madison. So we feed these millions of earthworms, and they do something really special here at our facility. They poop out what farmers call black gold. So our company is about 53 years old. The family that owns us has been doing this for a really long time, and we do it really well. So I'm in my office right now. I'm going to turn my camera around so you could all see where I work and who works here as well. So my colleague here is going to help me out. We're going to see if I can just take this right out here. There we go. So here we go. You'll see a bit of the office here. Chris is saying hello. And there's the back office there. And beside me, which you can't see, is our production facility. And I'm going to have my colleague here help me out, put this back in. Okay, I think we're set up again. Here we go. So we have about 250 million worms, and every 2 weeks we feed the worms. So they're eating for 2 weeks for about 10 to 14 days. After about 14 days, we take our worms out of a huge walk-in cooler that we have here, and we separate the worms sustainably by hand. We separate them from the poop that they've created. So we'll put them back into a small habitat, we'll refeed them and put them back into the cooler for 2 weeks. And then the process will start all over again. And then for now, I think we've got some information we want to show you on a video. Madison, do we have anything else we want to mention?
No, that is amazing. Let's go into the video, and then I'm sure we'll have lots of questions, so then we can answer some questions after that. But yeah, that's great. Let's see it.
All right, perfect. Ever wonder which end is the head and which end is the tail? Before I get into that, I'm going to tell you some pretty amazing earthworm facts that I know the rest of you are going to find really cool. Earthworms don't have any eyes, ears, a nose. They don't even have lungs to breathe or a stomach. And unlike humans and animals, they have more than one heart. It sounds pretty crazy, but they actually have 5. Another really interesting fact about earthworms that you may not know is that earthworms are one of the few living beings on the planet that have both male and female reproductive organs at the same time. We call them hermaphrodites. Sounds like a word from Greek mythology. Other types of hermaphrodites include sea anemones, starfish, jellyfish, and snails. Now remember when I mentioned that earthworms are very sensitive to light, specifically sunlight? The UV rays from the sun actually break down an earthworm's cells, which is very painful for them. So we consider these earthworms to be nocturnal, and hence the reason we call them Canadian night crawlers. When light touches their skin, it not only causes them to feel pain, but it also dries them out, which is pretty bad for an earthworm. They also suffer from paralysis when exposed to light, meaning they have troubles moving. They despise moonlight as well, so if there is a full moon at night, they will choose to stay underground. So do you want to know which end is the head and which end is the tail? Well, the head is closest to the band that goes around their body, and their heads are a dark reddish-brown color. Their tails are much lighter in color, and they look like they have been flattened out a little bit. You can even see their castings through their tail ends, and when I say castings, I'm talking about earthworm poop. And in the next segment, I will tell you all about how important their poop is to having a healthy environment. Now, before we get into a discussion about earthworm poop, let's take a close-up look at these incredible creatures. There is a top side to a worm and a bottom side. The underside of an earthworm has little nodules underneath them, kind of like the udders on a cow. This is where they mate from. Earthworms will produce somewhere between 4 to 6 cocoons a year, and each cocoon will hatch anywhere from 10 to 20 babies. And the babies are super cute. When they are first born, they look like little white fiber filaments, and they wiggle around a lot. It will take about 3 months for an earthworm to grow from a baby to a toddler and into an adult. This is when they gain their color. I could talk all day about these fascinating creatures, so let's get right to it.
All right, and we're back. And Helen, you now have gloves on. What does that mean?
It means we're going to look at some worms up close. So for now, we've got 3 species here that I'm about to show you all. And we're going to start off with the red wiggler, which has a scientific name called the Acenia fetida. So I'm going to point over here, and Chris is going to help me out. I'm going to show you my vermicomposting bin, which sits right here in my office. It looks like a little worm apartment building with 3, like a basement level, a main level, and an upper level. I've got about 1,000 red wigglers down at this lower level, the basement level, and I'm going to show you what they do. So this vermicomposting bin has holes underneath. This is where the worms will migrate upwards to eat. And these guys eat food scraps. So here we go. And I've got some food here to feed them today, but first I'm going to show you what these worms look like. So I'm going to pull one out and see how they're doing. Let's see. They're hiding. I think they're a little bit scared. Here we go. All right. So this is a red wiggler. And this little red wiggler is covered in soil right now, but you can see it's a little bit small and stringy. So this little red wiggler migrates upwards at nighttime to eat. It will feed on decaying plant matter and any food scraps. So I'm just going to show you up close one more time. There we go. And you can see it's moving around a lot because it's exposed to light and to sound and vibration. Because they don't have any senses, they're very sensitive to the light and vibration. And this is what I like to feed my worms. I've got a plate of scraps here, an old banana, some butternut squash, and some zucchini. We'll feed the worms that today. The Acenia fetida is a bit of a picky eater. It doesn't like to eat carrot peels or potato peels, but it will eat practically everything else, including coffee grounds and eggshells. and they always come up to eat at night. So, but they won't come up at nighttime if there's a full moon. Now, they're going to eat almost their full body, not quite their full body weight every day, but you're going to see in the next video what they do eat and how much of it they can eat.
Awesome. We just have one question or a couple questions here, and then I can put on video if that works.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a question from Rebecca. What are the white bands that some worms have?
Oh, that's a great question, Rebecca. So that is a new invasive species that has entered Ontario through the US. It's called the Asian jumping worm. So those worms are not good for the environment. Unfortunately, they came in through, let's say, a potted plant at some point in time at a retail store. Once they get into the ground and they will lay cocoons, we end up with so many of them. Earthworms will mate and produce anywhere from 4 to 6 cocoons per year, and each cocoon will produce anywhere from 10 to 20 babies. So unfortunately, they're very hard to control, but the Asian jumping worm does have a whiter band, and its skin is not quite pinkish. It's almost like a grayish type of worm, kind of like what you see in a zombie movie. When you see zombies, they've got like gray skin. That's how those worms look, and they'll have a white band.
Interesting. Okay. And we just have 2 other questions. So another one from Rebecca's class. Do worms have kidneys?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They don't have kidneys.
They do not have kidneys. And another question here, which I think is a great question. How do worms dig if they don't have any hands?
They dig using their mouths, believe it or not, and they're pure muscle. I'm going to hold up a couple of worms later on and you'll see, but it's hard to feel. When you can feel a worm, they feel like pure muscle. So they dig their way by eating the soil, and when it passes through their body, it turns into something pretty fantastic.
Amazing. Okay, that's perfect. If anybody else has any more questions, we'll do them throughout, so please put them in the chat. But for now, why don't we move on to the next video and see the different kinds that you have.
They eat half of their body weight every day, and that is a pretty hard thing to do. If I had to eat half of my body weight every day, it would take about 20 trays of lasagna to reach that goal. These little guys are what we refer to as top feeders. They migrate to the surface of the ground at night to feed on decaying plant matter. So some rotting leaves are what they typically like to eat, but here in our facility, I feed them food scraps. Some of the foods that they enjoy eating are things like watermelon rind, butternut squash and pumpkin, banana peels, and even things like used coffee grounds and finely ground eggshells. These little wigglers can survive in temperatures that vary from 5 degrees and go up to 22 degrees. The colder the temperature, the lazier they become. All they want to do is just eat, sleep, and poop. The warmer the temperature, the more active they become. They will eat, poop, and mate at a very fast rate.
Okay, we're back.
Awesome. And what do you have to show us this time, Helen?
So I've got another species here. It's the cousin to the red wiggler that I just showed you, the little one. This worm functions the same way as a red wiggler does, but it's just slightly bigger, and it will eat its full body weight every single day. I've got a handful here that I'm going to bring up nice and close. And there's a couple of them that are really active, hating the light right now. There we go. So its scientific name is Eisenia hortensis. Just like the red wiggler, it does come up at nighttime to eat on and feed on decaying plant matter. I'm going to see if I can get one with a band up close so you can see it. So there is an underside to the worm, and there's an upside. So it looks like this one's not really cooperating for me right now, but I hope you guys are all getting a kick out of this because this one's quite curious right now. Here we go. So this is the Eisenia hortensis. There's the bottom side to the worm. I can tell because it's lighter. And this is the top side. And its head is always closest to the tail. The earthworms will move from their head end and from their tail end. All right. And we'll learn all about the hortensis in the video as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. And the next worm you're going to see is my favorite type of worm. So everyone get ready.
Last, let me introduce you to one of my personal favorite species of earthworms, the Canadian nightcrawler. The scientific name for this earthworm is Lumbricus terrestris. Sounds extraterrestrial, just like an alien, but these worms are my favorite species for several reasons. They live deep within the ground at colder temperatures, and they mainly consume inert dirt. This is a good thing, and we need these worms to eat and poop out castings at the taproot level of trees and other plants, because their poop is essential to the health of all plants and the microorganisms in the ground. These earthworms like to live at temperatures that range between 5 and 12 degrees max. Take a look.
All right, perfect. Back to you.
Okay, so there's one more species that we need to look at, and Madison, like you, these are my personal favorites. Now, these worms are a little bit different, and they're much larger than the last two we looked at. So this is called the Canadian nightcrawler. Also, the scientific name is Lumbricus terrestris. It sounds just like an alien. I'm about to dump this out because we've got about 500 worms in here. So my friend Krista here, who's controlling the camera right now, she's going to help me out. I'm going to take this away. Get ready for the worm drop. Okay. If you can see this, I'm going to open this up. Look at this. Okay, so I've got a handful of the Canadian nightcrawler, and they seem to be slipping a lot because they're very slimy. I'm going to bring one up close. So here we go. These guys are much larger than the last two I showed you, and I'm going to put all three of them together to show you how they look. So let's grab the hortensis, which is right here. And then there's this difference in size. So that's the Canadian nightcrawler, the hortensis, and I'll grab a red wiggler so that you can see how small it is. There we go. Now, we normally don't put these three together, but I just wanted to show you what they look like when they are together. Here we go. So there you have it. The Canadian nightcrawler, the European nightcrawler, and the red wiggler. And as usual, the European seems to be a little bit more active as usual. Now, I'm going to put these guys back in their home. And I do want to show you what a cocoon looks like because I've got a few of them here. There we go. If I can get this up close on camera. So there's a cocoon right there, right where my pinky finger. There's a little ball. It's about a buttery yellow color. And that's going to hatch probably in about another 10 days. So it's going to get a little bit larger and it's going to turn a bit of a brick color. And we're going to get a lot of babies out of that one cocoon. There we go. As you can see the little ball, that's a cocoon right there.
Amazing. Helen, do you have time to answer a couple of questions? We have a lot coming in the chat.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect. So we have one from Crystal and John. Why do we find worms above the ground when it rains?
Oh, that's easy. They're trying to save themselves from drowning.
So they got to get up to get some air.
They do, yeah.
Okay, and what happens if we find a worm on the pavement or something like that?
If you find a worm on the pavement, do it a favor and put it back in the lawn or back in the garden where it's going to feel safe and will live happily ever after. It needs to go back. It just doesn't have any eyes to see where it's going, but it's pretty scared when it's out in the open.
That makes sense. So there's something everyone can do that's watching here to help out our worms. Okay, we have a question from Polly. How long does it take for a worm baby to come out of its egg or its cocoon?
It usually takes, I would say, to hatch from the cocoon, well, their gestation period is about 2 weeks, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. But for it to emerge from the cocoon will take about 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
2 to 3 hours, yeah.
Nice. Okay, we have another question. How do they breathe without lungs?
That's a great question. So they don't need a lot of air, though their skin does need air. Because they don't have lungs to breathe, they do come up and they breathe through their skin. So that's why they surface at nighttime. They can go the entire day or about almost 2 days without air, but they come up at nighttime just to get some air and to feed on decaying plant matter when the sun goes down. It has to be dark outside.
Okay. Wonderful.
So they breathe through their skin.
Through their skin. Very interesting.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question from Owen. Do worms eat their own castings or their own poop?
No, but that's actually another good question because they do eat other kinds of matter, that plant matter that is in other kinds of poop. So cow poop is really interesting. If we were to have a pile of cow poop in a field after a cow has been grazing on crops and weeds all day, when that cow poops, the plant matter will be in the poop. We can leave that poop sitting on the ground for about 2 weeks so all the stinkiness comes out of it and the gases come out. After all that stuff comes out of it, all the red wigglers will surface and go into that poop to start eating what the cow did not digest. So you can open up a pile of cow poop and you'll find 1,000 red wigglers in there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Okay,
Poop is really cool.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just do one more question and then we can maybe go on to the next video, or if you want to chat a little bit more before we go into that video, and then we can come back to the questions because we have lots more.
Okay, great. Let's watch the next video because there's more information there. We might think of more questions.
Perfect. Let's do it. Let's go right into it. All right, here we go.
In this next video, I'm going to explain to you all why these squishy, slimy little creatures are considered to be the ecological engineers of the planet, and why farmers keep coming to us for their black gold. The manure from earthworms is the healthiest fertilizer known to mankind, and earthworm poop is very special. Most importantly, it is very beneficial to the environment. We need it for growing healthy food and other plants. Earthworms have even more responsibilities in the environment and for different reasons, so let's get right to it. So back to worm castings. They are loaded with microbes. Microbes are teeny tiny little microorganisms that live in the ground, ensuring that the soil is a living, breathing, growing medium. The microbes are what keep the soil healthy, alive, and trap carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. With chemically treated soil, microbes die off and our air quality will suffer, meaning we as humans will suffer. Another key point about having healthy soil is that we need it to grow healthy food. Now, I all want you to think about your tummies. Just like the microbiome in your gut, the soil works in the same way our digestive system works. It must have a proper balance. Think about when you eat something that is bad for you, your tummy will begin to feel sick, or you may feel sluggish and just plain tired to do anything. Your energy level goes down and you just don't feel right. Putting something bad into your body can also change your mood in a negative way. The soil becomes sad as well. Did you know that there is more life in this one spoonful of worm castings than there are humans on the entire planet? It's amazing, and there are different types of microorganisms. Earthworms are at the heart of it all, so let's not forget that they do all kinds of hard work, like aerate the soil by creating tunnels. They till the soil and create castings to fertilize all of the plants and trees. They produce microbes that trap carbon, and they even eat decaying plant matter, so they are amazing at reducing waste. If there's anything you've learned today, remember this one thing. All life starts in the soil.
Amazing. Okay, Helen, do you have anything else to tell everyone watching before we go into questions?
Yes, I did forget to mention about the Canadian nightcrawler, that they do live at a colder temperature and their diet consists of dirt. They don't eat decaying plant matter. So they'll eat inert dirt, meaning soil that doesn't have any life in it, and they will turn it into something rich. And I am going to bring this one up close because you can see the castings going through the earthworm's body. The castings meaning the poop. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but I'm hoping you can see right through, and it's moving from its tail end. So this is the tail end that you see there. And then that dark line that's in the earthworm's body are the castings, basically the earthworm poop. And I'll bring the head around so that you can see that as well. There we go. That's the head end. So there's the top. And this worm, this one is a well-to-do adult, probably going to be entering old age at some point in time. So I'm going to turn it over to show you the bottom end. See how it's lighter underneath? There we go. It's upside down. All right. I hope that was fascinating for everyone.
I could see through it. I don't know if everyone else could on their screen, but I could see their little digestive system working.
Perfect.
Okay. Awesome. Well, why don't we go into some questions? Because we have lots. So we have one here from James in grade 2. How do they make their cocoons?
Well, they do mate. So 2 worms will connect from the band. And I showed you the top side of the worm and the bottom side of the worm. 2 worms will connect the opposite direction from the bottom side. They will excrete a mucus that connects them together. They won't be able to come apart until they're both fertilized. And then it'll take about 4 weeks for them to develop a cocoon and push it out their tail end.
Okay. Okay, we have a great question here. We heard that worms have 5 hearts. Is that true?
Yes, it is. They have 5 hearts, and their 5 hearts are all located within the band of their body. So just how we have like a torso and most of our organs are right here in our torso, the same goes for an earthworm. All of their organs are right in that band that are closest to the head.
Okay, and we saw that band on the earthworm when you're holding it up close. It's a little bit of a different color, right?
Yes, it is. And I'm going to bring one up close again. So you can see the head is a dark reddish brown. And then the band is this pink area right here. Let's see if I can get it even closer. There we go. Oh, I've got that. Sometimes that happens. Okay. It's not liking this right now. But there's the band. If you can see it, it's this lighter color right there. That's where all the hearts are located.
Okay. And I know there is another kind of maybe myth, or maybe it's true about worms. But what happens if it's cut in half by accident or on purpose? Can it still be alive?
It can. There's a chance it may survive. The only way it would be able to survive is if we cut the worm behind the 5 hearts. So the tail end will die off. The head end may survive. If it does, the worm will never grow back to its full length again. It'll be stunted in growth and be short.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, we have a question here about red wigglers and how long do they live?
A red wiggler will live anywhere from 4 to 6 years if it does not get plucked up by a bird.
Okay.
Yep. Here in our facility, they'll live longer in our facility.
Nice. Okay, another question here. Are worms vegetarian?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but how many types of worms are there?
Oh, that is a good question. That's one I'm going to have to look up and learn myself, but I would say there are probably over 100 species of worms.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot. So everyone, if you have a computer, just look it up because there's probably a lot.
Yes.
Okay. What do worms do in the winter?
They burrow themselves down really deep, and they'll go anywhere from like 6 to 8 feet down deep into the ground where they will live, and they'll make tunnels down there, and they'll mate, and they'll eat decaying plant matter. And usually that happens near a tree, or there are roots in the ground, something for them to eat while they're down deep in the ground over the winter.
That's very cool. Okay, this is a question that I have from Anna May. Do you name the worms? Oh, it's from Izzy.
I get asked that question a lot, Izzy. So yes, I do get asked if I name the worms because they're both male and female at the same time. I tend to give them names like Mackenzie or Francis or something, but I can't tell the difference between all of them. There's just too many of them here.
250 million.
Yeah, I'll just name them all Francis for now.
Perfect. Okay. Are the worm eggs or cocoons underground or are they on the surface? This is from Hudson.
Oh, that's a good question. So they're usually on the surface, just under something protective, like some dried leaves, where when they hatch, they can eat something, like feed on something, but they're usually on the surface of the soil.
Okay. What will happen if you keep all the different types of worms together?
Well, I don't know. In my mind, I think like we'd have like a royal rumble, but they don't live together. We don't mix our worms together like the way I did in my hand. We've never put them together, and that's something maybe I should try one day and see what happens, but we've never put them together. They always stay separated.
Okay. So I have a question just about the soil that you end up making after these worms kind of do their job and provide their castings. So where does your soil go? Who uses it?
So our farmers been coming to us for over 50 years for our soil, but our soil is also sold in garden centers. We're also supplying the Toronto Zoo with our soil, the Bird Kingdom in Niagara Falls. We go to vineyards where they grow grapes for wine, berry farmers. Some of the biggest growers across Ontario use our soil, even farmers who are out across Canada and overseas in Europe. We've got our worms going there. We even sell our castings in the US.
Okay, so all over. Those worms are really working hard.
They are. In Ontario, we have an abundance of worms, more so than any other province in Canada and more so than anywhere in the US. We have the richest soils in, I think, in North America. The province of Ontario has the richest soils because of our worms.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. This is a good question. And then we might actually have to wrap it up. Time has flown by. All your questions are amazing. Let's just do about 2 more, though. Then we'll have to say goodbye to everyone. Okay. So if worms are introduced to a garden, are they welcome to other worm tunnels or are they territorial of their tunnels?
No, they're not territorial. They are welcome to go into those tunnels as well. And so worms are very social creatures. They need to be together with their own kind, just like a pod of whales. If you separate them, they will not survive. They just all need to be together. So worms are always welcome.
Amazing. Okay. And then we just have one class that actually feeds night crawlers to their newts. Very interesting.
Oh, yes, that happens quite a bit.
Okay, amazing. If any classes wanted to maybe get involved with some worms, maybe compost a little bit, what would be your suggestion to them?
Oh, we want to get you set up with the vermicomposting bin, and we'll get you set up with a bunch of these worms here that I have. I'm going to pull these out right now. We'll want to get you set up with these guys right now. These are voracious eaters. So anything you have left over from your lunch, like banana peels, some cucumber slices, if from the stock room, if you got coffee grounds left over, put them all in the bin and the worms will eat everything and they'll turn it all into beautiful fertilizer.
Okay, that's great. So if anybody has any questions about that, I will send out an email afterwards and just get back to me and we can try to set something up in your class to start composting.
Perfect.
Okay. I think, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. So I wanted to thank everyone so much for watching, for coming out, for joining us live. Thank you for your questions in the chat. We didn't get time to answer all of them. You guys were so curious. Again, you can follow up with me in email if you have any questions at all. And Helen, thank you so much for showing us how important it is to have healthy soil, and how your worms help you do that, and your amazing facility with 250 million worms. Yeah, it was awesome to celebrate Ontario Agriculture Week by focusing on this, and just wanted to pass it over to you if you have anything else to say to the people watching before we say goodbye.
Well, I wanted to say thank you for having me first, Madison, and to all the students and teachers out there. And I love talking about earthworms. If anyone has ever any questions, they can always reach out to me here from our website, info@purelifesoil.com. And I really appreciate you all listening in and learning about earthworms, because I'm just so obsessed with them. And I hope that everyone becomes inspired to learn more about earthworms and our environment.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone watching. Thank you for being a part of it. We have a couple more virtual tours happening this week. So we have a visit to a pig barn tomorrow and a hazelnut farm on Wednesday. So don't miss out on those, and have a great rest of your day and a great Ontario Agriculture Week. And thank you again, Pure Life Soil and Helen, for joining us today. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.